This lesson we are going to learn about finding relative maxes and mins and zeros using our graphing calculator. So we are going to solve some quadratic equations with that. If you're listening to this recording, you need to know that I'm doing this while I'm teaching a class, so we might be interrupted with some questions, okay? We can handle this. All right, so first of all, I want you to go into your graphing calculators and open them up. Obviously, turn them on. Mine, I have to open my screen up, so just hang on tight here a minute. Oh, this is not working so well here. All right. Okay. I'm going to have you guys do something on your calculators just because I don't know where you've been in previous classes and what you've done, just to help us troubleshoot a little bit. So, and you won't have to do this again, but what I want you to do is I want you to do second, and then y equals, and then number 4, and then enter. So second, y equals number 4, enter, and it should say done there. You won't have to do that again. I just want you to do that so that our stat plots aren't going to mess us up, okay? Then I want everybody for right now, just so that we're all in the same window, I want you to hit zoom up here, and then 6. And you may have something pop up on your screen right now if something's in your y equals. I don't have anything in my y equals, so nothing is popping up, but you may, and don't be freaked out by that. Are we good? Okay. Zoom 6, yep, to get to where we are now. All right, everybody good? Okay, then I want you to go up to your y equals key right here, and I want you to clear anything out that we have in there. Okay. And then we are going to take a couple of these different functions and we are going to talk about some properties of them and find some relative maxes, mins, that kind of thing. We need to have these equations memorized. So will someone write this top one down for me? X to the 4th plus x cubed minus 4x squared minus 4x. That's what we need to type in. I just won't be able to see it on my screen. You got it? X to the 4th plus x cubed. So someone tell me what to do here. Yes, we're going to put it on our calculator. Okay? X to the 4th. Do you guys know how to get the exponent key? X, and then here's the exponent key. To the 4th plus, what was it? X to the 3rd. Minus 4x minus 4x squared. And then what? Minus 4x. So x to the 4th plus x to the 3rd minus 4x squared minus 4x. Are we good? All right, now hit graph because I want this to show up on my screen. Okay. First of all, can you guys tell me, is this an odd function or an even function? How do you know? Yes, it's even. How do you know? Because the endpoints both go the same direction. You got it. Okay? So here's what we need to talk about. A couple different things about this graph. First of all, obviously those arrows go on forever and ever, right? Okay? So there's two kinds of vocabulary that you need to know. One is maximums and minimums. Obviously you know what a maximum point is. It's the highest point on the graph. A minimum would be the lowest point on the graph. And then there's relative maxes and relative mins. And what those are, here's the difference. This right here is a minimum point. It's the lowest point the graph ever hits anywhere. Are you with me? This happens to be a relative min. Okay, a relative min. And what that means is it's a place where the graph changes directions. It bottoms out there and then goes back up. So it is a minimum, but it's not the lowest one ever. Does that make sense? So minimum is the lowest one ever, and relative minimum is the lowest one in that area. Does that make sense? In that part of the graph? Do you understand the difference? Okay. What would this one right here be called? A max or a relative max? A relative max. What is the max on this graph, by the way? Infinity. You got it, because those arrows go both directions, or go up to positive infinity both directions. So the relative or the maximum would be infinity, and then this point right here would be the relative max. Okay? Now we want to be able to find those points, and so we have to use our calculator to do that, and so that's what I'm going to teach you how to do really quickly. If I can get rid of all these. Okay, so if I want to find, first of all, this little red dot right here, okay? I want to find a minimum point, and I know you've done this before probably when you did parabolas. So if you hit second trace, okay, and it's going to be called minimum on here. We don't have an option of minimum and relative minimum on our computer, on our calculator programming. So you're going to just choose minimum. Okay? And now do you see how your calculator is asking you for left bound down there? You want to put your cursor a little bit left of where my red dot is. Oops, I kind of went a little crazy there. A little bit left of where your red dot is, hit enter. A little bit right of where the red dot is. Hit enter. And then you can put it right on. You really don't even need to move it, but I like to put it right on because your calculator program's a little faster then. And so this is your relative min, and this is what I would want you to say to me, okay? This is what I want you to say. I would want you to say this about this red dot. Now, this is about the red dot. Here's how I'd want you to word it. The relative min is, and it should be this value right here, negative 1.383, let's say. Let's round it to 3 decimal places, okay? Negative 1.383, and then I want you to tell me this. When x is negative 1.607, okay? So this is actually your minimum, but I want you to tell me when that happens at, and that happens at whatever your x value is at that coordinate. Make sense? Good? Yeah? Could you guys then figure out what this point is the same way? Do I need to do it, or are you good? You're good? Okay. How about this point right here? What are we going to do differently when we do that point? Maximum. You're going to do maximum, exactly. So you'll go second trace, and you'll choose number 4 for maximum. Okay, I'm looking at the blue dot right now. I'm finding the max. Again, my calculator screen is telling me left bound, so I'm going to put my cursor a little bit left of that blue dot, hit enter. A little bit right of that blue dot, hit enter. And right on that blue dot, and hit enter. Okay, so here if I'm looking at the blue dot, I would tell you that the relative, and it's a relative max, right? The relative max would be 0.941377 when x is negative 0.469. How are we doing? Okay? Yeah? Okay, then the other thing you need to be able to find using your calculator is the zeros. Do you remember where you find zeros? You did this when you did parabolas. Where do you find zeros? On the graph. Where are the zeros located on the graph? Where would you see them from the graph? Where it crosses the x-axis, exactly. So in this case, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, and they're the 4 spots that it crosses the x-axis. Are there always 4 zeros? No. Are there sometimes no zeros? Yes. If it never crosses the x-axis, then there's no zeros. And you need to be able to find those spots. So let's pick one of them to find. What one do you guys want to find? The far left, the middle? What do you want to find? Tell me. The far left. Okay, so here we go. We're going to find this one right here that I made a black dot. So this time, again, you're going to go second trace on your calculator screen. And you will hit number 2 for zeros. Okay. You want to put your cursor a little bit left of that black dot. And hit enter. A little bit right of that black dot. And hit enter. And right on that black dot. And hit enter. So I have 1, 0 when x is negative 2. Okay? Then you would just keep repeating that process for the other 3 dots that are red. Do I need to continue to repeat that process, or are you good? Yes. Did you do this dot? You might have done that dot. Okay. Questions? We doing okay? All right, we're going to put another function in. I'm not going to repeat every calculator step, but I do want to talk a little bit about relative max and relative min with a couple other little functions. So here's the next one. Can someone help me memorize this, or help me because I can't see my screen when I do this? So x cubed minus 5x squared plus 3x plus 2. Let's see. Yep, you can clear your other one. You got it. So go up to y equals, clear your other one. I'm going to clear all these. All right. So it was x cubed, right? Minus 5x squared plus 3x plus 2. All right, and we'll hit graph again. Good. Okay, does this ever reach an actual maximum point or an actual minimum point? No, because it really goes up forever and ever up to infinity, right? Because of this. So I can't give you a number on what my max is, right? I cannot give you a number on my max. Can I give you a number on my min? No. Tell me what this point right here would be called. A relative max, because it's where it switches directions. And this point right here would be called a relative min. Whoa. Oh my goodness. My smartboard is way off here. I need to change my screen, so sorry. There we go. A relative min, that would be. Are you guys okay? Do we need to talk any more about this? You know how to use your calculators? Find the maxes, the mins, the zeros. You know the difference between a max and a relative max? Okay. All right. Relative max is where it changes directions. And then, so let me draw this. What if your graph, I'm just going to draw this right here. What if your graph looked like this? Okay, what would this point right here be called? A relative max. How about here? Relative min. How about this? It is a maximum point, not a relative maximum point, because it is the highest place the graph ever reaches ever, anywhere. Does that make sense? And I can put a number to that. There's a number where this tops out at. There's not a number here where it bottoms out at because it just keeps going to negative infinity, negative infinity, negative infinity, right? So if I asked you to give me your minimum point, what would you call it? Negative infinity. If I asked you to give me a relative min, you would give me, here's one relative min. If I asked you to give me a relative max, that's this one, and then of course this is the max. Okay? Are we good? All right. I am going to stop recording here, and